thank you everyone for coming to World of Wildlife for this month. Now we meet every single month and you are welcome to come every single month to this gathering of wildlife lovers throughout the world. We've got people here today from all over the place. We've got Sri Lanka, we've got Vancouver, we've got the UK, we've got the Sunshine Coast in Australia and Sydney in Australia. And hopefully Wong will be here from Malaysia very, very shortly. This is hosted by me. My name is Dr. Sarah Pai and Dr. Wong Suti, who runs the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre in Malaysia. Now, a little bit about me. I write books. I write books about Dr. Wong Suti. So I wrote his biography, Saving Sun Bears, which tells about his quest to save a species from extinction. And it's an incredible life journey that I'm hoping that you guys have read, or if not, you might be interested in reading. Once I'd finished writing that, I've written 6 books about Wong's life. There's and with his adventures with different species. So those are all based for kids in the age of sort of 8 to 12. And Irene's daughter Taylor has been one of my young reviewers for that one. So thank her. I know she's probably in bed now, Irene, but it's always nice to see Taylor when she's here. That series was shortlisted for an Educational Publishing Award in Australia in 2022, of which I'm really proud. Now, the way this works is we have a couple of little sections here. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit what's been going on with me. And then I'm going to pass over if he's here. He looked like Wong showed up. Awesome. Good to see you, Wong. Don't take your mind off the road, but nice to see you. And it looks like Barbara's here too. Good to see Barbara from the south of Australia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've been up to in the last month. Then I'll pass over to Wong and he'll tell us what's going on in Malaysia and specifically what's going on with the Bornean sun bears that he takes care of. And then we'll pass over to our guest speaker for this month, who is Marie Treadwell-Kerr, who is going to tell us all about bats. We're going to learn about spectacled bats in North Queensland. And I've spent some time with Marie recently. So we're going to do that as a sort of a Q&A session. And hopefully you'll learn a lot about bats. Is anyone here who's a little bit scared of bats? You can give us a hand up if you are, you're not sure. Hopefully by the end of the day, you will love bats. That's the whole concept. Hopefully we're going to love them. Rhonda, good to see you. Lovely to see you here. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to tell you I've got one thing that happened this month that I have to share with you. What I did is I actually spent a day on Anzac Day, which is a special day in Australia that we celebrate on the 22nd of every April. And I spent the day, since the public holiday, I spent the day with the koala dogs, or the dogs for conservation detecting dogs for conservation. This is Roman Christo and her partner Russell, and they run this amazing program with dogs that they've trained to find koala scats, koala brand new scats, old scats, and koalas themselves. So we spent the day in a woodland actually trying to find koalas with these incredible dogs. So that's what they look like. Okay. This is what the dogs look like. So on the left, you've got Summer and Lockie, and they're new trainee dogs. So we were actually out training them to find scats. And then you've got Austin, who actually is really, really good at his job. So he basically taught them how to find scats while we were out. And we spent an entire day looking for scats. We found scats. The newbies found scats, which is fabulous. And the new 2 trainees also found us a koala. So that was very, very cool. Quite often dogs get a bad rap when it comes to wildlife because mostly the interactions between dogs and wildlife are negative. So in this case, it's a wonderful thing that the dogs are actually helping us to conserve wildlife. Wildlife with koalas, if people look for scats, they're not particularly successful because koala scats are very small. They're the same color as the ground, but dogs can find them using their sense of smell. Dogs find 70% of the scats that are there, and people only find 30%. So with the use of dogs, Roman and her team can actually determine whether there's dogs in in a habitat, and then actually propose protection of that habitat. So they're absolutely incredibly important. While I was there, I met met a koala, but I also met this awesome young woman who is a koala. She works with the Koala Crusaders, and you can see that she's actually found some scats. So this is Milani, and she just had a birthday this week. So Milani is the same age of the character of my next book, Curious Kai. And the reason I was out there is I was actually doing some research for my next book, Curious Kai Asks Why, which is about a curious young girl who travels around with her mum, meeting scientists who can answer her wildlife questions. So Milani is going to be part of the next book, which is really exciting. All right. Marie is going to be our next guest, but before we go to Marie, I'm going to pass over to Dr. Wong Suti. Can you talk, Wong? Are you okay to talk at the moment? You're on mute though, so I'll see if can I unmute you? I don't think
yes, yes. Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So tell us what's going on in Borneo.
Well, I'm in West Malaysia right now. I am driving to airport. I just pull aside after I paid the toll, so I think I better stay pull. I don't want to do any dangerous driving. Yeah. So hi everybody. I am in West Malaysia. Yes, well, I attended the Malaysia Palm Oil Green Conservation Fund Biodiversity Forum early this week, and then it's a funding agency that work closely with the Malaysian governments to fund conservation projects. I attended their forums in Genting Highland a few days ago, and then yesterday I was visited the Malaysian Elephant Conservation Center and also the Malaysian Tiger Conservation Center. So it's good to see what's going on in this part of Malaysia. This part means the West Malaysia, and try to networking and try to connect with everybody in this circle in terms of wildlife conservation. And I did meet some interesting people, and make some important contacts for further future research and conservation work for sun bear in West Malaysia. Because for the last 16 years after I established the Borneo Sun Bear Conservation Center in Sabah, most of my work concentrated on Sabah and not so much over here. And hopefully with this networking, we can open up the door for us to work more in West Malaysia. And obviously, the sun bears over here equally needs our helps, and they are equally endangered. And then the official numbers for the sun bears in West Malaysia is 300 to 500 sun bears. So there's not a lot of bears. So it is good to have that kind of connections, and hopefully we can contribute our knowledge and experience for the sun bear conservation of sun bears in West Malaysia. Yeah, and unfortunately,
a possibility of another center in West Malaysia.
Probably not, because some 16 years ago, I did have a proposal to establish a sun bear center in West Malaysia. But at the times, the government's agency who were responsible for the wildlife turned me down. And then that's why I stay focused in Sabah. And right now, the West Malaysia do have a national wildlife rescue center where the cares of all these rescue sun bears are done by the government agency, are done by the Department of Wildlife and National Parks in West Malaysia. So it's a government facilities to care for these rescue sun bears. So I don't think I'm going to set up a new sun bear center here, because it's a lot of work. I don't think I have that kind of time and energy and resources to do it anymore. But in terms of conservation works, in terms of education, research work, I think I still can contribute my knowledge and experiences without actually try to build a physical center over here. So that's I think that's the way to go, because try to build up something and try to go through all the fundraising project again is going to be very yeah, very, very time consuming. I don't think I'll at the end I think I'll do a bad job. Anyway, so yeah, so that's me on my part.
So can you tell us,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
yeah,
you've got to get going to the airport.
yes, yes. What, Sarah?
No, I was just wondering, do you have a minute to tell us about the palm oil or the conference that you went to or not? Have you got to run?
I got a what? A tell about the palm
You
oil
said
what?
you went to a palm conference or a
Yes, so the conference is organized by Malaysian Palm Oil Green Conservation Fund. And
okay.
then it is a fund that established by the Malaysian Palm Oil Board and the Malaysian Palm Oil Council. Is literally the money coughed up from the palm oil industry, and then this fund is for doing mitigation work or conservation works that is wildlife that is related to palm oil industry. Say for example, elephant human conflict that happens a lot of time in oil palm plantations, and then a lot of the works on the ground needs funding to make it happen. So a
Yeah,
lot of NGO who has been working with wildlife conservations and in oil palm plantation landscape are getting their support. Like the Sabah Wildlife Department's the Wildlife Rescue Unit is heavily funded by the Malaysian Palm Oil Green Conservation Fund. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's really important work. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got to drive. Are you able to answer any
I
questions from others while you
no
drive?
no I cannot because I need to turn on my navigations in order to find my way to the airport. So I have to leave
Absolutely.
anytime soon.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you could make it even briefly.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. I thought I can, but at the end I said, "Oh, I better don't because it's actually quite dangerous, driving and then talk to a Zoom
Yeah,
like that."
we
Yeah.
need you alive, so please don't do it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have to leave right now, and then yeah, and then hopefully you all have a good conversation. I will reach Sanakan at 9 o'clock p.m.
Yeah,
and then I'll look at the video
catch
and
up with what
yeah.
Maria's talking about with
Yes,
that.
if you have any questions, just leave there, this type of question and I'll try to answer it as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Wong. Drive safely.
Okay, you are very, very welcome. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. So we probably,
Okay.
if anyone's got a question for Wong, what have you got? And we'll record it so that he sees it later. What sort of ideas have we got for Wong?
Yeah. So can I go now?
Yes, go. We're going to leave
All
you
right.
messages.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Bye.
Bye. As you can see, Wong's a busy man, but he's also incredibly important to saving the species of sun bear from extinction, and which is why I wrote his story so that people would know the incredible work he's doing. But I'm sure there's questions there. I've got millions, Wong. So if you want to ask mine to start with, you could pop them in the video on Facebook. You can put some of the answers perhaps. I would love to know more about what you learned about the tigers and the elephants, and how they're going. So those are the things I would like to know. Anyone else got anything you want to add for Wong?
I'm curious where the sun bears are located in West Malaysia, because Malaysia is quite large. So, like, which national parks or what parks
Whereabouts?
are they in?
Yeah, really good one, Irene. Like that question. Awesome. Any more?
I'd like to hear a little bit more detail about the sustainable palm oil. Because I've spoken to people in the palm oil districts in Sabah who say, look, we can't give up palm oil. We need the income, we need drinkable water, we need all sorts of other things that we really depend on it. So the thing is not to say absolutely no palm oil, but we only support sustainable palm oil. So I'd really like to hear more details about how do we tell that a palm oil company really produces sustainable palm oil with, oh, sorry, that was my dog. Without,
I totally understand. Yeah.
yeah, without clearing more forests.
There is a sustainable roundtable of palm oil, and I know that that's probably something that Wong is involved in as well. So I'd love to hear that as well. We'll see if you're being loved to death in the meantime.
Yeah, yes, because I know a lot of people are cynical and say there is no sustainable palm oil, but at least if some is better than others, we want to know which ones are better and which ones we should definitely avoid.
Yeah, really important. Awesome. Any other questions for Wong? This is an unusual sort of a process, but we'll get there.
I think for me, it's the same kind of questions around the palm oil, because all we see in the Western world is that it's destruction, it's taking like the wildlife home. So yeah, can we have a clearer view on what is actually happening and the protection that is going on?
Yeah, totally understand. Any more? How are we going? No?
Yes, oh, sorry. Yeah, just about elephants. I just heard today from Alexander Yee, the president of the Ecotourism Society in Kinabatangan, that Intrepid, the big travel company, is financing some conservation plans for elephants to have corridors. So yeah, since that is happening in Sabah, I was just wondering whether
well done. The Borneo and Sun Bear Conservation Centre gets a fair amount of funding from Simdavi, which is also a palm oil company. It's hard to know at what level it's helpful and what level it's greenwashing, I guess, is something that we need to ask a question about too, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, this is not a palm oil company though. This is a tourism company, Intrepid, and apparently they're financing corridors for elephants and other conservation things. So yeah, I'd just like to know how effective that is, what stage it's at. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds very good from what I heard today.
Yes. Oh, good. I'd love to hear more about that too. Maybe you can share that next time. Maybe find a bit more out on that one, Rhonda.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Okay, guys. Well, what I'd like to do, if that's enough questions for Wong to get started on, I would like to take the time to introduce our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is Marie Treble-Kurt, aka Batwoman. Marie is president of Bats and Trees Society of Cairns, coordinator of the Spectacle Flying Fox Recovery Team, and vice chair of the Wildlife Tourism Australia, of which Rhonda is the chair. So we've got the entire royalty in Wildlife Tourism Australia here today. So I'd like to welcome you, Marie. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is a fun thing to do and a nice thing to do.
It is, absolutely. So I spent some time with you over Easter, Marie. Marie was so kind to actually host me when I visited Cairns area and did some research on bats, cassowaries, and praying mantis. So Marie gave me her spare room, and we spent a lot of time investigating bats in the northern area of Australia, which was magnificent. So what we're going to do today is we're going to run this as a sort of a Q&A session, and we'll see what we can sort of throw in to that. Feel free to ask questions as we go. Are you happy with that, Marie?
Yep, that's fine.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's start with this question. Let's have a look at some awesome spectacled bears. So especially with flying foxes, I mean, what are spectacled flying foxes and why are they so important, Marie?
Well, flying foxes are just a very large vegetarian bat, but they're a bat that doesn't use echolocation. There are around 200 species of fruit bats and flying foxes. Most of them are flying foxes in that, and the spectacled flying fox is one of the 4 Australian flying foxes that we have on our mainland. It's endangered and it's found only, well, the other ones are quite widespread. It's found only mainly in the wet tropics of North Queensland, and a little bit, and a couple of hundred maybe in Cape York on Iron Range. So they're very important.
Not many. That's the thing. They're endangered, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've got a much smaller range than all of the others because there's so much more a rainforest specialist than the others. But they're also really important for all our rainforest up here. It's not just one great big piece of rainforest. It's fragmented naturally with other vegetations, and fragmented more so because we've cut down a lot of the vegetation.
Yeah.
But it's still performing its keystone role of pollination and seed dispersal. One little spectacled flying fox, one adult flying fox, can spread 60,000 seeds in one night up to 80 kilometres away from the parent tree.
That's extraordinary.
Amazing thing.
So,
that's why they're important.
They pollinate, they poo, they pollinate, and they travel long distances. So put those three together and they're incredibly important.
Yeah.
And they're cute.
And they're cute. Like, that picture was very cute.
So my next question, Marie, is what are the challenges facing them that's led to them actually being endangered?
Well, historically, since European settlement, it's been habitat clearing and destruction of roosts, destructions of camps. People used to just go out and try and shoot the whole lot. This was with all flying foxes. So that really brought down the population quite a lot. But in the last 15, 20 years, the population has declined. Well, between 2004 and 2014, it declined 75%. And the main factors in that were cyclones. We had a series of cyclones, those big cyclones, Cyclone Larry, Cyclone Yahtzee, and Cyclone Oswald, which didn't really bother us, but went down the entire distribution of the coastal distribution of the spectacled flying fox. And there were big declines there, and there wasn't enough time to recoup the population. Of course, since then, there was a report that came out in 2018 saying how that the decline was 75% when they were nominated to become endangered. And after that, we lost 23,000 of them in 2 days in one heat wave. So climate change.
2 days.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Probably most in the first day. In one heat wave. And so we'd never had a heat wave before in the tropics because you don't get heat waves in the tropics. Modelling has shown that the spectacled flying fox and the whole of the wet tropics can expect heat waves that could cause mass mortality of flying foxes once in every 20 years. But the thing is, we don't know when that next 20-year period is up. So that's one of the main problems. And the other problems that we've got that are challenges are just the normal sorts of things, but indirect human things like landing on power lines, getting caught in barbed wire. So there's a big anti-barbed wire, wildlife friendly fencing project happening.
Yeah, that was nice to hear about that. So so the idea there is that barbed wire fences, the top rung of the barbed wire fence is the most dangerous for the bats, isn't it? So
that's right.
You reduce that by taking off the top rung of the barbed wire and replace it with a bat friendly wire, then you're actually going to save a lot of bats.
That's right. And yeah, it's simply just making that more visible. If you can't get rid of all of that, reduces mortality. And there's a brand new product out, which is for new places, which is a barbless wire that works on cattle. It keeps cattle in. It's been proven to do that, and it's available in stores like Bunnings. So it's out there for everybody.
So it's everywhere, this one. So people can use that instead.
Yeah, instead.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And one of the people you met when you were up here spearheaded this entire program.
Yes,
that was Jenny. Jenny from Tolga Bat Hospital.
When I was spending time with Jenny at Tolga Bat Hospital, the other thing that I learned was about paralysis ticks and how they affect spectacled flying foxes. Can you tell us a little about that as well?
Yeah, so that's the biggest cause of death in the Atherton tablelands of flying foxes on an annual basis. So we get 400 to 500 bats that get affected by the paralysis tick. So it's thought that it's feeding on low plants like wild tobacco that brings them into contact with the ticks. A lot of wildlife has, a lot of the ground wildlife up here has got immunity to ticks, but not the flying foxes.
Okay, and that's not good, because a lot of the parents die during the bats the period when they've got young, don't they? And so
that's right.
So
the
what
mothers die.
other carers are doing is trying to save the young when their parents have died.
That's right. And Jenny, that's why everybody who looks after flying foxes in this area, in the wet tropics, started doing caring, because it was a big paralysis tick year. You get years that are worse than other years. Back in about 1990, and that was when everybody that you met, that I introduced you to, when they start, that's when they start, and they're still doing it.
Well, that sort of brings me to the next picture I've got there, Marie. They've got here's a picture of some of those people I met. We've got Jenny from the Tolga Bat Hospital on the left. We've got Pam and Peter from Bat Reach in the middle. And these people are part of the bat network. I love the idea of this bat colony that sort of hangs around. So you're part of this really engaged network of bat helpers. And I want to make a comment before I ask you the question, because I know that in conservation circles, it's not always as friendly between different organizations that are trying to save the same species. I don't know why that's the case. I guess it's a funding issue and a fight for funding, but I was really taken when I was in North Queensland with the way that you guys all work so well together. So can you tell us what it is that your bat network actually does?
Right. So we've got the carers that are led by people like Pam, Tully and Jenny at Tolga Bat Hospital, and also Rebecca, who we met in the clothes shop, earning her money so that she could look after bats. And there's a whole lot of other carers that are down in Cairns, and the ones that help Jenny at the Tolga Bat Hospital. So there's a big group of people there. Pam's got a nice little group that come in to cut fruit every day, and then the vaccinated people go to feed the bats. But that's just part of the network. That's the carer network, and that's working really well. And Rebecca's one of the key people with that, but also Pam and Jenny. So Rebecca's younger than Pam and Jenny, so this is a good thing.
So yeah, you got some succession plan here.
Yes.
That's always good.
Yeah.
But even when we spent time, we went up on Sky Rail. We went from Cairns up to Kuranda on the Sky Rail, and we stopped off walk through the rainforest, and the guide that took us, Luke, his partner was a bat carer. So yeah, it was just, there's just this whole network, isn't there, of people that take care of bats.
That's right. So that was one of the sort of the Daintree group of carers, so that we're all working together because one, it is a threatened species, and so we all need to, and two, because we know that everybody does need to work together to actually save a species. But that's not all we do. We've got the education network as well.
You do. You've got an extraordinary education network. Yes. Well done, because you segued into my next question, haven't you? Good job. Okay. My next question then is, when you educate people about flying mammals, what sort of misconceptions do you combat?
A question that often is asked is viruses, but it's not often it's not asked as much as it was. It goes up whenever there's anything that comes about saying, oh, bats have got this other virus. They have no more viruses than any other taxa, any other group of animals. But they're being studied more than any other group of animals, because they have had some that has transferred to people. So they're found if you go looking for them.
It's dangerous, isn't there? The illicit virus is a dangerous one. There's apparently 3 people that die. Is it per year? There's about 3 people that
It's
die.
3 people that died ever.
Ever. 3 people have died from this virus ever, which is a lot less than get struck by lightning in Australia, but there you go.
Yeah, no, 3 people have died ever, but it's completely manageable. One of our key messages to get out there is no risk, no touch, no touch, no risk.
Yes.
So if you don't touch a bat, and it's a virus is found in both microbats and smaller bats, the insectivorous ones, and the flying foxes. And so you don't, unless you're vaccinated and trained in wildlife care, you shouldn't be touching a bat. There's a big network of these wildlife carers. We're all around here, and somebody will come out and rescue the bat instead. So that's 100% manageable. The other disease of virus of concern in Australia is Hendra virus, which can be transferred from bats to horses via urine of an infected bat if there is a spillover event. So that the urine will contain the virus. If the virus is a very weak virus, in that as soon as it dries out, it dies.
Okay.
But if it's there in the urine and it's in wet grass and the horse comes along and eats it, then the horse can get it, and in the horse for some reason magnifies the entire virus so that it then becomes virulent enough that people can get it from the horse.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a magnification process in there. So we don't tend to blame the horse, do we?
No. So the people who have died from that, which was 4 people. Well, the first one, well, nobody knew what he was dying of, and his horses had died as well. He had a sick horse. He spread it to all the rest of his horses, and then he died himself. And then there was a vet that died, but since then people have recovered from it because now they know what they're doing, and we also vaccinate the horses. And since that's happened, the numbers of cases of this have really disappeared.
Yeah, so that's good. So you're educating people about that when you do your education programs.
We educate about that because that's one of the first things to get out of the way. It's okay. You can hang around with bats. You can walk under a colony. You can watch them. You're not their droppings, and that's not going to hurt you. Diseases can't be transferred to people directly without being bit by a sick bat.
Awesome.
And they're both very, very low numbers in the
It's good. Now, one of the other misconceptions that I heard when I was up there was really kind of interesting, is a question of people that Peter said he gets quite often, is because bats hang upside down and they're a bit messy eaters. He often gets asked, do bats poo out of their mouth?
Yes, well, flying foxes only eat a liquid diet. So if they're eating fruit, they crush the fruit up like a bit like a juice extractor does, and you get that dry pulp. They spit that bit out and just drink the juice. And so that's one of the reasons. We call them spats. So that's one of the reasons.
One of the reasons they do that is because there's no point in them swallowing the stuff they don't need. It makes them heavy and they can't fly. So they might as well get rid of the stuff they don't need before they fly, which is pretty awesome.
That's right. And then, and they also spit out larger seeds and things that way. So that's their short short dispersal, the short range dispersal, but they do the long range dispersals, the ones that come through the poo. Some people think that they don't have an anus, but we don't really get to hear that much. Interestingly, one of the things a lot of people say, are they marsupials? Which they're not.
Which they're not, they'd
have to have the pouch the wrong way, a different way around if they were.
They would. They'd have to have a back to front pouch like a wombat.
Yes. But they are not marsupials. In fact, they're closest relatives. There's 3 groups of animals that are the closest relatives. It includes the carnivores, the dogs and the cats and the bears. It includes the ungulates like cows and horses and giraffes. And it includes the dolphins and whales. So So if you were going to ask me if a bat was a rat with wings, or
yes,
they're not related to mice at all.
because they're not rodents, they're actually mammals, which is very awesome. And one of the other things I learned while I was up there I thought was quite incredible is when a bat gives birth, it gives birth hanging upside down and then catches its young in its wings. That's very cool. Which, you know, you wouldn't want to do it the right way up because they'd get bungee jumping bats, but there you go. It was a very cool thing to hear that. And for those of you who don't know, if a bat wants to pee, it turns right side up and pees.
So it holds on by its thumbs.
And holds on by its thumbs and then pees and then goes back upside down, which is pretty cool as well. They're incredible animals, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, there's 1,400 species in the world, and they make up globally 1/5 of mammal species, and in Australia 1/4 of mammal species of bats.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? So yeah, if you weren't a bat lover yet, I'm hoping you are right about now.
If you show some more those pretty pictures of their cute little faces.
Oh yeah, let's go back to their cute little faces, shall we? We're going back to our first picture of the amazing spectacled flying fox. Look at that. Look how cute that one is. They're just adorable, aren't they? They're like little tiny puppies.
Yeah. That's one of the little orphans, and it's wrapped up to make it feel as though it's wrapped up in its mother's wings.
Yes, awesome. Oh, well done. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know we've got some questions from everyone. So thank you so much for hosting me while I was up there, Marie. I really, really appreciate you teaching me about these incredible animals. The experiences I had will make it into my next book called Curious Kai Asks Why. So here's a why question for you then. A Curious Kai why question. Why do you think storytelling is important when an important way of saving species?
People learn, they remember stories. They learn by stories. It's a far better way of learning than just learning a whole lot of facts. So stories work very, very well. And it's really important because you can use empathy. You can get people involved. Then they end up caring for the animal you're talking about. And then they want to do something to help it. Storytelling is one of the most amazing things. Storytelling and those wonderful images you were showing.
Yeah, absolutely. The two work hand in hand, don't they? We can learn a lot from Indigenous cultures here because Indigenous cultures and oral culture traditions around the world have been using storytelling to pass history and knowledge around for, you know, in Australia, 60,000 years. So there's a lot to learn from the original storytellers on this land, I think.
There are.
Yeah, and I'll just bring Rhonda in there because Rhonda, the Wildlife Tourism Association conference is coming up in November. You're focusing on the concept of storytelling in tourism, aren't we?
That's right, and looking forward to hearing you and Marie present on that. I think you might be running a roundtable discussion as well as giving a presentation, from what I understand. So that'd be great if you're doing that.
We're looking forward to that. Yes.
So yeah,
but yeah,
storytelling does really help if people want to know what happens next. If you're just giving a list of facts, you know, the minds can wander. But if you're telling a captivating story, you know, people want to listen to the next bit. Okay, what happens next? And what does this mean then? What does that lead to? And what's the outcome of everything? So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing all that. And you've certainly had a lot of experience with your stories about Dr. Wong.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Now, thank you again, Marie. I know we've got questions from the audience.
I'll just...
Yeah, go for it,
Rhonda. Sorry, Sarah. Can I just mention that the Wildlife Tourism Conference is on from the 5th to the 7th of November. If anyone's old enough to remember Guy Fawkes Day, it begins on Guy Fawkes Day, which I always thought was a bit of a silly celebration. But anyway, yeah, and we're holding it physically at Hastings Point. We're holding it in northern New South Wales on the coast in a lovely natural coastal area, but also online. So we've got people from Japan, Brazil, Indonesia, all over the place who are going to be joining us. Okay.
Yeah, and It,
I can
would
put the
put the link in the chat, Rhonda, so if anyone's interested in
sure,
finding
yeah, I can do that.
get that, that'd be awesome. Well done, thank you.
Righto.
Now, I know Barbara's got a question. Barbara, are you disappearing? You've disappeared out of screen. I know you had a question that you wanted to ask Marie about bats in North Queensland in relation to wind farms. What's that one?
Yeah, I've read about Marie and just following the sort of the green energy projects up in North Queensland and overall Australia actually, and just wanted to know what's the problem with wind turbines that you see, and you know how many projects are in the pipeline that we don't even know of in the public, because it doesn't really appear in the media.
Yeah, there's quite a lot that are down there, that projects that are proposed, and they're running along the Great Dividing Range. Some of them very, very, very close to the boundary of the World Heritage Wet Tropics area, which is a bit of a problem. We really would prefer them to be moved further along, where we don't have to get rid of so much. They're all involved removing quite good quality habitat vegetation. But the immediate problem with the wind turbines is the collision factor.
Okay, so we've got two. We've got getting rid of habitat by putting turbines up, and then you've got actually collision with the actual wings or the blade.
Yeah, so a lot of bats can be. We can actually reduce almost completely the mortality to insectivorous bats just by not letting a turbine start until a higher wind speed. So if the wind turbine starts at 7 meters per second, we can reduce mortality of insectivorous bats by about 90%. Nobody knows what we can do to protect flying foxes from wind turbines, because we're the first country in the world that has the flying foxes as well as the insectivorous bats and the wind farms. So it's something that we're thinking we're going to be.
You were saying there, Marie, you're saying that if we only started wind turbines at a certain mile-an-hour wind, then it would save 90% of flying foxes.
90% of the insectivorous bats by
Okay.
just starting at 7 meters per second rather than 4 meters per second.
Okay. Okay.
But it's something to consider, because they don't run very much anyway, because they have to be turned off so often. So it comes down to a good assessment to when it's actually useful to then disturb, the whole area.
But what is really good news here, one of the biggest ones that was planned here has been was disallowed by the Minister of the Environment, and they've completely withdrawn that wind farm proposal now. So that was a really big win, and we're now working out what we're doing now. We're not against wind energy. We just need it in the right spots where it's not going to affect animals, and we do need to work out how to protect flying foxes from collisions. And it's going to be similar to what is done for raptors, we think, but nobody really knows. So there is some research going into that at the moment with the Australasian Bat Society, and some wonderful people who have detection dogs to help at wind farms finding the carcasses. So who have worked at wind farms and is now trying to work out what the best way of saving bats.
Yeah, that's good. Does that answer your question, Barbara?
Yeah, it's something to follow. I just wish it was a little bit more out in the open, the public, rather than just we need this, and this, and not actually doing a proper assessment before these things go ahead. Because there's a lot of foreign-owned energy companies involved. They really just ask for the money. So I think that's a big problem, and government is very keen to sign many off, because of the emergency. So it's a bit of a worry in my view.
It is that, and in fact, this particular one, it was owned by a certain company, and then it got sold to an overseas company after it had been through EIS, but luckily it was disallowed. So that happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
there's
something
politics
people-
involved, unfortunately, too.
Well done. Thanks for bringing it up, Barbara. Appreciate it. Do we have other questions for Marie?
I have one about vaccinations. So you say that people need to be vaccinated when they're helping the bats. What kind of vaccinations do they have?
It's a rabies vaccination. It works against all the lyssaviruses, and it's 100% effective against Australian bat lyssavirus.
Okay,
Pretty
thank
good.
you.
It's several injections for rabies vaccination. It's not one of the easiest ones, is it, Marie?
No, but I read recently that there's some new research showing that we may be able to get a just as an effective vaccination that doesn't involve the whole 3 injections over the month. Which will make things a lot easier and presumably cheaper.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a little expensive, isn't it? But you can get together with a couple of friends. Apparently, if you can get 3 people together to share the vaccine, it works out obviously cheaper for all of you.
Yeah, interesting. Susan's asking for more information on the different barbless wire.
Right, I'll have to look that one up, and I'll have to send that to you.
Well, if Marie, if you send me a link to information about it, I'll share it in the email that I'll send you as a thank you for coming, and you'll be able to link to that, Susan, if that sounds good.
It's probably in one of my new I've got a brochure somewhere here about the wildlife project.
I'll make sure I share it in the thank you email so you guys can look through that. Thank you, Marie, again for sharing all your knowledge about bats. It's really, they're such an incredibly important species, but also unique. So yeah, thank you so much for telling us about them. I really appreciate it. Is there anyone else who's got something that's gone on this week this month that they'd like to share?
I can share what's coming up if that's
Come on, then, Claire, what's happening?
I'm flying to Borneo tomorrow to be with the sun bears.
Oh, lovely.
So yes, so I've got 12 days in total. I'm doing 6 sessions in the first week, and then I'm going to do another 6 in 2 weeks' time. So it'd be really interesting to see how they get on and if there are any changes. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Fabulous, that's wonderful. And if any of you didn't catch Claire's talk last month, then I'll send you the link, or just email me and I'll send you the link to her talk as well, which was incredible about her energy work with bears. Yeah, so hopefully you have just as much success this time, Claire.
Thank you.
Sounds really good. What else has been going on for anyone?
Well, another thing that we're planning, not through WDA this time, but through the Scenic Rim Scenic Rim branch of Wildlife Queensland, tomorrow and again the next week in 2 different towns in the Scenic Rim, we're holding public discussions on how local businesses can make their businesses more wildlife friendly, even if it's just small steps, like hotels, maybe landscaping with native plants, including things that attract native bees and food plants for butterflies and so on. Turf farms choosing the less it's sort of, probably there's no really great pesticides, but they can choose some that are better than others. And cattle farmers who can fence off a little area to plant a few native trees, and restaurants that can think about local produce, so you don't, and think about where they came from, and are they from, well, like the sustainable palm oil instead of non-sustainable, and sort of choose things that are choose products that are wildlife friendly. News agents getting recycled papers, not things
good job there,
cut down from native forests, and all that sort of thing. We'll be putting it on the Scenic Rim one. we'll be putting it on the Scenic Marine Wildlife website, and I might put a link to it from the Wildlife Tourism website as well.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Madura, is there something going on with you?
Well, yes. Thank you. Well, Maria and myself had a good time in Kuranda last month. I guess I was able to meet her during my visit to Kuranda. The development is like, as I told you, that I'm planning to go ahead with the collaborative book that we both are planning to do. I'm trying to meet some potential publishers next Monday and Tuesday, because I have been invited for a book writing workshop organized by German High Commission in Colombo. So I have been invited to participate for that, to talk about upcoming book writing stuff. So I'm going to meet them next Monday and Tuesday. So hopefully that we can go another step. Yeah, fingers crossed. So for the next step. And in addition to that, my sustainable development tourism project funded by federal government to Sri Lanka is gonna start from next June onwards. I'll be flying to Scotland regarding my latest research paper to publish over there, probably in June. Yeah, so many things, but in a summary, yes.
As usual, Madura, you're just like smashing it. Well done. Or any last minute comments? I know we've run over time, so we probably should wrap up pretty soon. The last thing I'd like to say is that the 16th of May is Wong's birthday. It's also Sunbear Day, International Sunbear Day. So if you have the opportunity to go on to bsbcc.my.org and learn all about sun bears, you'll be able to be part of International Sunbear Day, and also potentially send Wong a little happy birthday as well. That would be helpful. It's like me, my birthday and Sandra's birthday is June 5th, which is World Environment Day. So we're usually working on our birthday, just as Wong is on International Sunbear Day. So yeah.
I share my birthday with Wong and International Sunbear Day.
Oh, yeah, no way.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Claire. Well done.
Yeah, funny.
So will you be there to celebrate?
I will actually, yes. Yeah,
Oh,
so
fantastic.
very excited.
You have a wonderful time. Thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate you coming. I'm going to.
Can I? Sorry. Hello.
Yes,
can I just thank Madura again for the help that he gave us while he was staying here with the Wildlife Ecology Centre we're developing on our property. That was very much appreciated, and we're hoping to open it in June.
Oh, excellent! Thanks. I hope you're going to have a grand opening, Rhonda.
Oh yeah. I hope Madura can come. I don't know whether he's a bit far away at the moment.
He is. All right, guys. Well, I hope to see you next month. This meeting is on the 10th of every single month. I'm just going to quickly share my screen and show you who our next speaker is. So our next speaker on June 10th will be Mark Ancradis, who is the director of the French NGO Hutan in Malaysia. So he does work in the Kinabatangan River area in orangutan conservation and planting trees, which is one of those most important things to do. So he's going to come and share some of his projects in Sabah, Malaysia with us. So that'd be good. That one is going to be at, I've prepared for you this time. It's going to be 12 noon in Brisbane. It'll be 10 a.m. in Kuala Lumpur. You've got some times around the world. I've hope that some of you are going to be able to come, so I'll give you something to work from. I'll be sending you the link so that you can come and join us then. Other than that, thank you so much for coming today. Absolute pleasure to see you again, and I hope we'll see you next month.